Yes, well, in 1971, Australia was, and particularly in the department, we were still working on the assumption that the United States wished Australia to maintain its position of recognising the Republic of China as the legitimate government of the whole of the sovereign territory of China. It's important to draw a distinction, I think, between the principle of the sovereign territory of a nation and the particular governance or government system in a country and the party or the organisation that is in control of the government. These are three rather separate legal notions. So Australia, since 1941 at least, when we had diplomatic relations with the Republic of China, recognised that the sovereign territory of China included the province of Taiwan, as indeed the government of the Republic of China insisted. After the Republic of China government removed itself to Taiwan, when the nationalist forces were defeated by the People's Liberation Army in 1949, Australia maintained its recognition of the Republic of China up until 1972. And as I said, in 1971 we were still adhering to that position because we understood that that was what the United States wished us to do. So I remember the senior people in the department felt particularly blindsided by the announcement that Henry Kissinger had been conducting secret visits to China, negotiating with Premier Zhou Enlai for the eventual normalisation of relations between China and the United States. So we suddenly realised that we were going to have to also move to recognition of the People's Republic of China. One of the interesting points was that in 1971, in July 1971, we published, we didn't publish, but we produced a policy planning paper providing policy advice to the government that said that the alliance with the United States would mean less to us in the future than it had in the past, and that Australia should develop independent policies based on Australian national interest and the interests of our near neighbours. This was a reaction to the fact that we realised that we couldn't rely on the United States to protect Australia's interests at every turn, and that the United States policy actions internationally could in fact at times be quite inimical to Australia's interests. The policy planning paper was fundamentally shelved. The policy that we recommended was not adopted. And of course today it's far more relevant and far more urgent than it was then.
Right. That was actually going to be my follow-up questions. One, do you have a PDF or an archival copy of this?
I don't have a copy myself, but you can just go to the Foreign Affairs archives and get it. It's now declassified.
Right.
It was highly classified at the time, but it's a declassified document, and in fact it's under the collection of documents in the Foreign Affairs archive called the Waller Papers, W-A-L-L-E-R. Sir Keith Waller was my father-in-law, so I was personally very conscious of the fact that we had diplomatic relations with the Republic of China back in 1941, because he was the second secretary in Chongqing in 1941 till 1945. So there were many anecdotes around the dinner table about life in wartime China. As I said, we had assiduously maintained our relations with the Republic of China right up until 1972. But with the the revelation that the United States was moving towards potential recognition of the People's Republic of China, plus the fact that Gough Whitlam, as leader of the opposition, had already declared that were he to win government, he would immediately recognise the People's Republic of China. And of course, he visited China as leader of the opposition in 1971, I think. And of course, he did win the election in November 1972, and we had spent all of that time in the lead up to the election preparing for the transition from recognition of the ROC to the recognition of the PRC. So I was also involved as a very junior officer at the time in the documentation and the preparation of advice and so on regarding the negotiations for the joint communique on the recognition of the PRC. And that was also an interesting time. Our then ambassador in Taipei, Hugh Dunn, was arguing very strongly that Australia should seek to negotiate an arrangement with the People's Republic of China that would afford Taiwan some form of separate identity internationally. And of course, neither the government in Taipei nor the government in Beijing would agree to any such concept, because they both continue to insist that the province of Taiwan was an integral part of the sovereign territory of the nation of China. So that led fairly quickly to the formulation that is now in the joint communique of recognition of the People's Republic of China, which acknowledged, that is, recognised and accepted the position of the government of the People's Republic of China that Taiwan is a province of China.